The one thing Jesus said no one can know is the one thing people keep trying to predict. But Jesus didn't say, figure out when I'm coming back. He said, live like it could be tonight. We're exploring Mark 13:32 to 37 and wrapping up chapter 13. Let's read verse 32 from the ESV. But concerning that day or that hour, no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. The passage starts with Jesus saying, but concerning that day or that hour. What day? What hour? He's been talking to his disciples, answering a question about the destruction of the temple asked by Peter, James, John, and Andrew. He's laid out all sorts of signs and predicted the coming of the Son of Man in clouds with glory and angels. He's told them to learn from the common fig tree that there are signs that things are about to happen. And now he refers to that time or that hour when his predictions will be fulfilled. And what does he say about that time? There's no point even thinking about when it may be, because no mere human knows when. The angels of God don't know when. And even God's own Son doesn't know when. In fact, only God himself knows exactly when these things will happen. In the context of Mark's Gospel, with the original audiences listening to a public reading from beginning to end, they will have heard God call Jesus his Son at his baptism and at the Transfiguration. So, they would have no doubts as to the identities of this Son and this Father. What does this verse do for Jesus' apostles and for Mark's audience? It sets them free. Don't be offended by your ignorance regarding a date. You're in great company. The angels and even the Christ don't know the date, so what would make you think that you should know it? Another thing that we can infer from this statement is that if only God knows the time and the hour, any person who claims that he or she has figured it out is not trustworthy. The time and the hour are intentionally hidden from humanity. Why do you think that is? I suspect it's because of our common human nature. If I know about a deadline, I have a license to procrastinate until the last minute before I do what is required for that deadline. I might wait until the last minute to get ready. And the rest of this passage speaks directly against that way of being. Look at verse 33. Be on guard, keep awake, for you do not know when the time will come. It starts with two imperatives, or commands, both in the present tense, signifying continuous action. Keep watching and keep awake. We've seen the command, keep watching, multiple times already in Mark. Keep watching the scribes and keep watching yourselves. But here, watching has no object. In other words, Jesus doesn't tell them to keep watching anything in particular, but rather to stay vigilant or stay on guard. And he complements that idea with the command to keep awake. You can't be on your guard and be asleep at the same time. Since you don't know the time or the hour, keep watching all the time. Don't let yourself fall asleep, because it may happen at that very moment. Because you don't know the time and can't schedule a time to get ready, you'll have to maintain an ongoing vigilance. You'll have to keep watching and keep awake. You'll have to always be ready. On to verse 34. It is like a man going on a journey when he leaves home and puts his servants in charge, each with his work, and commands the doorkeeper to stay awake. If you watched the video on Mark 13:28 to 31, you know that Jesus used a little parable about the nature of fig trees to teach the disciples to watch for predictable signs. Now, he uses another little parable to teach about watchfulness. He says, keeping watch and keeping awake is like this scenario. A man is leaving on a journey, he'll be away for a while, he leaves servants in charge, but not to sit around idly. They have responsibilities and tasks, and one servant in particular, the doorkeeper, is under command to keep watch and keep awake. Why? So he's ready to rouse the household and open the door and welcome the master at his return. The parable teaches that watchfulness isn't staring into the sky, it's doing your assigned task until the master returns. Jesus told his followers about the return of the Son of Man in this chapter. Before he can return, he'll first have to leave. And his apostles have an assigned task while he's away, to go out and proclaim his gospel to all the nations. So they better keep watch, and they better stay awake. They have work to do to be faithful to the Master while they await his return, and none of them knows when he will return. Now, the direct application of the parable in verses 35 and 36. Therefore, stay awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will come, in the evening, or at midnight, or when the rooster crows, or in the morning, lest he come suddenly and find you asleep. Therefore, or, in light of this parable, stay awake. Since you don't know when your master will return, you can't afford to sleep in regard to watchfulness. Then Mark tells us that Jesus did something clever. He referenced all 4 watches of the Roman guard duty schedule. The night was divided into the evening watch, the midnight watch, the watch from midnight until the rooster crows, and the watch until full daylight in the morning. So what? What makes this so clever? He told them to keep watching, to be vigilant like soldiers on guard duty, to stay awake, not just for their assigned watch, but throughout the entire night. Because you don't know the day or the hour, you can't afford to nap. You have to stand all 4 watches, unless you want to risk being found sleeping. Obviously, literally staying awake all the time is not sustainable, and even Jesus slept. It isn't about never sleeping, it's about not falling into complacency or apathy. It's about the tendency to start thinking, my master has been gone a long time. He probably won't be back for a while longer. I can afford to relax and close my eyes for a few minutes. It does no good to know the signs to look for if you're going to keep your eyes closed and stop looking. One last thing. Look at verse 37. And what I say to you, I say to all, stay awake. He reiterates the command, stay awake. But the command isn't just to Peter, James, John, and Andrew. It isn't just to the 12 apostles. It isn't just to Jesus' first-century disciples. It's to everyone who hears or reads Mark's account. If you know the signs, and you know what's coming, stay awake. Keep watching. You don't know the when of it all, but you know what's coming. Do what you're called to do. Stay faithful. Stay vigilant. Be ready at all times for the return of your Master, day or night. Be ready for the coming of the Son of Man, with glory and angels, to gather the elect. Next time, we begin chapter 14, with the emerging plot to kill Jesus. Thanks for studying with me, and for your ongoing encouragement. Keep watch, and stay awake.